special meeting of Board of Commissioners for Thursday, June 9th to order. Roll call.
Mr. Kolstad?
Here.
Mrs. Brinker-New?
Here.
Mr. Nielsen?
Here.
Mr. Pearson?
Here.
You have a quorum.
You stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. At this time, I'd like a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of interviewing potential board members, or board commissioners, candidates, to fill the vacancy in the board. I'll make a motion. Do I have a second? Vote it now. The motion fails for lack of a second. Okay. Looking for, anybody from the public have anything to say? No?
Thank you, Valerie Weiskirk, Midlothian, Illinois. I carefully stand after working for a rain garden, which Jen is grinning at. So first, a compliment towards you, Jen. Thank you for the conversation prior to the meeting. You got me really excited about the whole gardening side of life, and that should be a great asset, you know, to be able to promote what the Park District is doing. So very cool. Second, with the silence that just happened, unfamiliar as I am in this territory, one thing I do know is that items can be placed on an agenda if they are not to be voted on. Now the question would be, since you were treating this line item as its own separate and then you had under new business, selection and appointment, I guess I'm curious, procedurally speaking, if you still would be able to put on the agenda the interviews and still go ahead and do under new business as a separate line item the selection and appointment of the commissioner, and that there is just simply no need for the executive session. And then the other procedural question I have is, what happened to all the resumes for the director position when they came in? Which individual specifically reviewed them? What was the process that went into it? Also, who was the second candidate? And is he employed at this time? And if so, with who? If he's not employed at this time, or she, who at least their last employer was. Thank you.
Well, the multiple questions, which one do you want answered first?
All I need, take your break. Whatever order you want to do them in.
Well, give me the first one.
Okay, procedurally speaking, let's do that one. It would be my understanding of the agenda that you still can talk about and therefore conduct interviews, for example, and I hope the board will consider that just because this executive session motion failed, that there will be consideration. You still can do the entire process and still even select, and the shrugging of the shoulders concerns me.
Well, under the Open Meetings Act, it provides for us to hold closed session meetings for a number of things, and one is to fill the selection of a person to fill public office.
Yes, with the word may. It's not of a mandate. And because it's not a mandate and it's only of an option, this vote that these commissioners took, according to what I was reading today, makes it clear that they chose not to go into executive session to discuss it. That's all, nothing more, nothing less. And I would think the process and procedure as it a separate line item would still be able to proceed forward, and you still should be able to interview the candidates just fine. And with Mr. Narco being here, you know, even of a better benefit, if I may. But I would think, you know, with him here.
I'm here.
I know, no, and you just came in so in the middle, sir, and I'm sorry. There was a procedural question. May I, Mike, or would you like to?
I had a request for going to closed session to interview the candidates. which the motion was made by Chuck Nielsen, and no following second.
And so my question was, could they still continue
Well,
with?
let me just
Sorry,
hear,
go ahead.
let me hear from Jim a little bit more. All right, so Chuck Nielsen says, hey, I move we go into executive session to talk
Yes.
about this. Fine. And you don't have a second.
Right.
And so here we are. And if we think about it, certainly the opportunity exists to go out and to have the interview of the candidates in a public session. That's an opportunity that you have. The other opportunity is simply to not go forward with that. I don't know of the wish and the will of those people that are the candidates, that whether they wish to accept going forward in a public session, speaking about their candidacy or their willingness to go forward with a group of people out here without at least having the opportunity of privacy for themselves. An opportunity exists, fine, table it. Ask those people, see if they want to do that. See if they even want to continue to be involved. Period.
He addressed my question. Thank you, sir.
Second question, Rob.
What?
What was your second question?
Oh, oh yes, the hiring process. It was a question I was looking for the articulation, since there is no manual and there is no simple procedure thing on the website, to be able to see the specific HR steps that the Park District took to hire the position of director, meaning what individuals reviewed resumes and when, and who was the second candidate, who was the runner-up, and if they are still employed, with who, and if they're not employed, when they submitted, who at least was their last employer.
Well, either the second or the third candidate that were in the finals, I have not had any contact with them since we made our decision to hire Dominic.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking for names. I'm asking for who were the candidates. Who are the people that,
Let me do this. Let me suggest that
That's fine.
if that is a request, do your open meeting, do your Freedom of Information Act request. It'll be handled that way. I don't think that this is the type of public forum where there is the sort of a sandbagging of the individuals and asking them for the revealing of all of this information. You certainly have certain entitlements to information. Do it through a Freedom of Information Act request. They'll answer it as they can, if they can, to the extent that they can, and that's that.
I guess I'm a little uncomfortable because, quite frankly, I shouldn't have to FOIA request any of this, and with the new Illinois statute coming through that's going to mandate all this stuff online anyway, it's been, if I had FOIA requests declined that should not have been declined, such as ballot proofs that I still have yet to had submitted to me to prove a separate issue we don't need tonight. I agree. But in turn, I offer you, and I must counter, this is not of a sandbagging. This is of a simple procedure that you saying go to FOIA request, compared to I shouldn't have to ask. It should already be on the website. This should have been a clear process, just like this whole selection process, and it's not. And that's all. I just wanted to at least have my counterpoint, and you and I are just fine as we normally are when we are on opposite sides, correct?
I don't feel I'm on an opposite side.
That's fine too. I'm fine, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just have a summary of what has happened so that I can understand. So we went to step number one, which was to interview those people who would be candidates for the office. All right? And to that point, there was not a second to that motion. And we then are now at the opportunity of the public to speak. Is that correct?
Right.
Good enough. That's all I wanted to say. All I wanted to ask about.
Well, let me ask
If you're done with
Rose,
that question, your question, not me, that's fine.
Okay.
how would you feel about being interviewed in a public session?
But just go ahead and do it. Whatever needs to get done so that we can continue the process.
Okay. How about you, Carl?
I have no problem with that.
Okay. Mike?
Did you want to finish the question and answer period first, or do you want to do this? I don't care.
No, this is open for public comment right now.
Okay, well, I had a couple questions. Well, I have one, now I have another one since we got here. I don't think it's a real, myself, this is just me. I don't think you open up a meeting and then say, we're gonna leave now, guys, so you sit here and wait for us. That's ignorant to the people that came here to see the meeting. I just think that was handled wrong. If you would've left here after we're sitting here to come to see a meeting and you're gonna walk out, I think the timing's wrong there. You have to do it in the I don't care if you do it behind closed doors, I'm fine with that. Just have your meeting first, then go do it, so we can all go home. Having a sit out here, that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? You might not agree, but I mean, that's just one observation I have. Number two, the new gentleman that was hired, did we know anything about his legal problems before we hired him?
That's something I want to not answer at this point in time.
Well, I think I deserve it, because, you know, it's gonna be my tax money if the park district gets sued for anything else happens. I don't understand the thought, might be the greatest guy in the world, I don't know him. But, you know, you gotta take some things into consideration before you hire somebody like this. I think you should tell us if you knew that this was going on before you hired him. I think we have a right to know that. You shouldn't be ashamed of your decision. I don't think you have to look at a lawyer to ask a question. We're sitting here in Midlothian. I think you can ask a question without asking a lawyer if you have to do it or not. I think we deserve to know what you knew before you hired the guy. Who voted yes, who voted no?
All the park board members, as well as the staff that interviewed, were aware of the reasons of Dominic leaving Joliet Park District during the interviews. The board members were satisfied with the explanation that he gave us at the time prior to us hiring him. So, and it was a joint board decision at that point in time.
It was unanimous?
Yes.
There's no liability on the bill. You guys don't think there's any liability to take somebody on like that?
Let me suggest this,
I would
because
like to do this without a lawyer.
let me just talk to this, because probably this is more of a legal issue. It is my understanding that during the hiring process, that indeed there was a disclosure of an issue that existed at another park district. That indeed, as Mr. Colstead has described, that the board was satisfied. They voted unanimously to hire the current director. That's the what of that. Does the park district have a policy which has a zero tolerance? That is absolutely the case. Should there be any violation, is such a big word, but should there be any issue, then obviously the park district will deal with that completely. Does the fact that we are now aware of a suit being filed and the particulars of the allegations, and it is important to say that they are allegations as to proof, does that set that individual onto a certain set of additional scrutiny? And that's absolutely the case, and the park district will obviously make sure that that's done, that extra scrutiny takes place, period.
How can we trust that they'll do that when they would take somebody who has sexual abuse allegations and they would take him and they would put him in a park district with children? And I don't know.
Look,
Personally, it's an allegation, and it could be 100% false.
That's right.
But if you think of a doubt, if something happened to my kid, or your child, how would you guys feel?
Well, of course, but
Then
now
it
you're
shouldn't have
saying,
never
no, see,
been
now
voted
you're
on. Every
saying,
one of you that voted yes on it should be ashamed of yourselves.
well, now see, what you're doing though, is you're going in that sentence, and you've hit both ends of the spectrum. Because you said, you should be ashamed of yourself, and at the other part of your sentence, you said, we don't know the truth of this. Because somebody said it doesn't
Inkling of a
make
doubt
it true.
is all you need.
A reasonable doubt. That's the
There you go.
standard that you live on.
Are you-
Now, is he on leave of absence or anything, or is he still working, functioning every day in the park?
That's a question that'd be answered by the board. I
Do you
assume
live,
he's
do
still
you live in
working.
the town?
Pardon?
Do you live in town?
Of course not.
Oh, I don't have
Of
any
course
idea.
not.
I don't know why you say of
I
course.
say
That's a
that.
horrible thing.
I
know
say
that?
that because
Well, then
I have
was talking to
spoken
these guys. I don't
otherwise,
think
not
they asked
to
for your
diminish.
advice. I was talking to the board. Please don't interrupt me when I'm talking to the board.
No,
If they
that's
want, if they
not
want to
fair.
hear, no,
That
if they
is
want to
not
hear
fair.
you, I voted for them, I want to hear their answer. If they voted you for a question, I'm fine with that. But please don't take that away from them when I'm talking
Because
to them.
there
You don't
are
have to answer for them unless they
certain
ask you to.
issues that are
Then
there
you wait for them
that
to
are
ask. They can
legal
talk for
issues
themselves. We
that-
don't need a lawyer in a park district meeting. This
That's
is
a
Midlothian.
foolish
If they
statement.
want to ask you a question, I'm fine with that, but don't interrupt it and intercept the
Sir,
question that we're
Ed,
asking.
I did not interrupt.
You did, you
And as
intercepted
well,
the
I did
question
not
that we
raise-
were asking
You're out
the
of
board.
order.
I'm not, he's out of order.
You did say, I'll handle this,
That
is
is
what
our,
you said.
That is our attorney.
And that's right,
you
it's
asked
a
some
legal
questions.
issue.
No, we're talking, Mike.
He asked
We
you a
are
question
talking,
like somebody
Mike.
who
This
know
is
each
something,
other.
I'm ashamed that we need a lawyer in a meeting here. I'm truly ashamed that we feel that we can't sit and talk about something. I really am, and I know most of you people, I like you. This is the time you shine. I ask a question, you guys do this every day, you know everything. Now you don't hide, you come out, you give me the answer, you give me the truth. If we don't like it, we're still gonna leave friends. I'm not gonna hate anybody, but you don't hide behind a lawyer, you don't let somebody answer questions for you. Answer my question like a man, like I'll talk to you just like a man too.
He
Exactly how I
violated
feel.
Robert's Rules of Orders, quite frankly. You did not ask of his advice.
So
He is
did
not
you.
an elected, yes, I am, but you're calling me out and not him, is I think what this resident behind me is asking for. An equal call out here. That Med-Narco had no right whatsoever to assert himself except for the circumstances you and I, yes, turned to him and asked for his perspective, but not for his, sir. And it is a Robert's Rule of Order, and that's a violation you guys have been notorious on. You have a legacy for it. So I do believe that this gentleman made a point, if I may summarize, it's a Robert's Rules of Order violation that he did, and you did not equally confront him. You only confronted him on camera. But it doesn't matter if the camera's here or not, does it, Mike?
This guy, Dominic might be the nicest guy in the world. I apologize if I don't mean to insult you. I truly don't. And I know it's very hard for you to believe that, but I truly don't mean that. But this shouldn't be something I believe Midlothian should be taken on. With problems hanging over somebody's head, you know, I truly think that maybe we should have searched a little further. I really do. I'm not coming up here to call anybody out. I think this was a huge mistake. I truly believe that in my heart. I truly do. And if I'm missing something, I wish you would have the guts to just come up and say something instead of saying, oh, well, we'll confer about that. We'll talk about it later. Yeah, this is a place to shine, guys. Show us what a great job you do. Stand up and tell me why he's the magnificent person he is. Tell me these things, why we couldn't do without him. You shine now. You don't hide.
Well,
Am I wrong?
No, we
Thank
went through,
you.
we went through the search, and from all of the candidates that we saw, he was the best candidate of the group.
Even with what's hanging over his head.
Again,
I'm sure his credentials are great, there's no doubt about that, I mean,
Mike, if
Again.
Midlothian Little League has to pass background checks, if anything happened like this, he couldn't be a coach in Midlothian Little League. But we can hire him to be the director. I'm telling you the truth, I'm not making these things up. You coach, you assistant coach, your manager, you get a background check for Midlothian Little League and he couldn't work there. That's a problem for me. And I don't know how you people don't see that. I truly don't. Please defend your actions to me.
I just want to make a quick statement. Hindsight is 20/20. At the time that Dominic was hired, there were no allegations, there was no legal action, there was no lawsuit.
but you guys were informed of it.
Let her talk about it, please.
And I was pretty much against it. But I thought about the fact that he did have the strongest of the three candidates that the board was presented with.
Can you please explain that? Why were you only presented with 3 candidates?
I don't
Who
know.
presented you with 3 candidates? Is that
Yeah,
one?
who presented the board with 3 candidates? You are the deciding group.
Mhm.
Well, somebody up
Who
there
brought
has
the
to
three
know
to
who
the
brought
table?
the three to the table.
pardon?
Someone has to know the answer to the question, who presented the three candidates?
The
Are they
three
resumes
candidates
that came in the mail? I don't know.
came from a process, interview process that was handled between the current board president or the director and the staff.
Which was Evelyn Gleason and the staff interviewed 27 candidates and came up with these three to present to the board for final selection.
Okay, that's an answer, I appreciate it.
Did that include Sharon
I
Ryback as
appreciate
part
your
of the interview process?
That's a stand-up.
Is
thing.
she staff?
Is it
Yes.
typical for staff to interview their boss? You are the elected officials electing the best person to be their boss. Why is the staff choosing their boss?
A fair question, Mike.
From a day-to-day standpoint, they have the best knowledge, okay?
This is
I'm
somebody
not
that's
here
supposed to be
I'm
their
not here
superior.
full-time every day, okay? I'm as a board member, as well as the rest of the board members. The staff knows what's needed from a perspective of a day-to-day operation, and they researched and processed all of the candidates and came up with three very good candidates for us to make a choice from. We saw who else they had and what their scores were.
One other question, I mean, was just you or the only member of the board that did the actual interview?
No, we did it as a group.
Oh, I just asking, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that if you said it earlier, okay.
Yeah, we all interviewed them.
Was there a selection committee amongst the board that looked at all of the applicants?
No, we didn't look at all of that.
Why?
So they were gone through
So-
by you and Evelyn.
And
picked
Sharon.
three, and you went to your
I made
board
this
with
yesterday,
three.
yes.
You guys didn't see every application, correct? Okay.
That is atypical of an elected board. It is your duty to review all the candidates that are there. Even if you elect a small group amongst yourselves to be the thin-down committee, you can include current employees in that process and then make your recommendation that says, we have, as a group of our peers here as elected officials, narrowed it down to these candidates, which we'd like to bring in for interviews. So we're not sitting through 27 interviews, we're sitting through 5 interviews. What are your top 3 candidates? Let's call them back, let's ask specific questions, and then let's make a recommendation to hire one of those, all of which does happen in closed session for the most part. I still don't understand why you, the group of elected officials, did not do that process and do due diligence to the residents of this village, and why you are letting employees choose their own boss, and by what qualifications they think they're gonna be able to get away with the most. That's the most easy person to control, that's the best person that's gonna motivate them. What were their qualities? You were responsible to make that decision, not your employees.
Which we did.
You guys are all responsible for the decisions of a few people. So Frankie, Mr. Nielsen, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Mary, no.
You guys are wearing the egg on your face when something goes bad. So in my opinion, you guys need to question things and be involved in things, and because ultimately, all of you are going to be 86th when it's said and done. So I ask for you guys to be involved with it. If you need help from me, if there's something I can help you with, or I'll do whatever I can. I'll ask questions. Let's just do what's right for our town.
I appreciate your honesty. At least you talked to me without going through anybody else and you answer the question.
I
I might
appreciate
not like
that.
your answer, you know, but I appreciate you not trying to hide anything.
I did too.
That's important to me.
I appreciate it also.
Dominic, I apologize if I truly do, because I don't know you from Adam, you know, I really don't, you know, and there are so many allegations, I believe, like this that could be BS, I understand that, and hopefully that's your case, I truly do. I don't mean to embarrass you now, I truly don't, I'm sorry.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, being none, we'll move forward.
Is there going to be an interview and discussion then with the candidates
Pardon?
Is there going to be an interview or discussion with the potential candidates for the board this evening? As it was posted on the agenda?
We'll take it down in new business.
In closed session, and that
We're here
did
for that,
pass.
okay.
But that doesn't mean now it is an opportunity to be done in open session.
New business. They can put it under
New
new
business.
business because
Okay.
they're not voting on the actual interview process.
Great, thank you.
Okay, review the minutes. Everybody get a chance to review the minutes from the regular meeting for May 19th? Any questions? Not from me. Okay. Director's report?
As I reported last month, the Land Water Conservation Fund has announced a grant opportunity for land acquisition. It's a $750,000 match this year that they put out there, so you have to come up with the other $750,000 or more. There's a House Bill 4536 that's passed both chambers and sits on the governor's desk. This bill would move the bid threshold from $20,000 to $25,000. House Bill 4379 passed both chambers and sits on the governor's desk. This bill would create the Local Government Control Travel Act. And Senate Bill 3005 has passed both chambers and sits on the governor's desk. This bill would reduce the lifetime ban of certain felons from a lifetime sentence to 7 years. IEPD has indicated that on all these bills, if they do get signed by the governor, they'll put out some rules for us that we'll have to follow. So they're waiting for them to get signed. And
Dominic, just one quick question, on House Bill 4536, the bid threshold, is that the approval, the executive directors?
No,
what
that's the amount, any project, any purchase or public work project that currently exceeds $20,000 is required to be sent out for public bid.
Okay.
We're moving that number from 20 to 25,000.
Thank you.
And there's still, I don't know if I finished, but there's still no action on the property tax freeze or on a budget.
Okay, under the rec section, Tiny Tots ended, preschool ended on May 20th with the end of the year picnic and graduation. We had 85 people at the picnic for all 3 classes, which was a pretty good turnout, and the weather finally cooperated, so we were able to have it outside at Memorial. And we had over 100 people at graduation this year for the 4- and 5-year-old class, which was, I think there was 15 kids in the class, so having over 100 there for graduation was pretty awesome. We actually moved the event over to Rady Lodge. That way they're kind of in more of like on a stage with a big slideshow with pictures, and that seemed to be really popular last year, so we're going to continue to do that because people really like that, so we're going to continue to do that. Day camp registration's been going on. We actually started this past Monday. It's been pretty steady, which is good. We are looking, the trend is to surpass what we had last year, so that's good to know. We think that maybe that's due to the different options that they could sign up for, whereas before it was just 5 weeks or 10 weeks, that was it. But now we've been a little bit more flexible where they can sign up for 2 weeks at a time. So that seems to be helping. People really appreciate that. So just a couple upcoming things. Again, I said day camp and summer Bremen sports camp begin this week. Registration for fall adult softball started Saturday. And Thunder is coming up on June 24th. We're in the final stages of getting everything together, and we could always use people to help, so keep your schedule clear, audience too. You could always use people to help on the 24th. Other than that, we're currently working on the fall brochure, so if anybody has anything that they want in it or see, let us know. This covers September through December, and it should be to the homes mid-August. Other than that, we have 3 tournaments and 45 single games booked at Memorial Park for the month of June. Did you want me to do the radio report? As far as the radio report, senior lunch is tomorrow. It is Tom's Diner. Same groups are continuing to go every month. We had 10 events booked at Ray Day, other than the the standards. 6 of them are non-residents and 6 of them have alcohol. Other than that, just kind of a heads up for you guys, our tournament agreement, 2017 tournament agreement, we took a look at it and we have no changes this year. We raised the price last year, so we're gonna keep it the same for this year, and we start taking rentals for 2017, July 1st. I know, it's crazy. I'm already thinking 2017, so.
How's this year's going?
So far, so good. We have not, there was wood around me, we have not been rained out for a tournament yet this year. They've really busted their butt to get them going. So we haven't canceled much, even with MGS and all the local renters as well, so.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Maintenance?
There was 198 work orders completed through the month of May, with 6 still in progress. All the backstops should be out in all the parks right now. All the Thunder signs have gone up in 3 locations. There's been mulch starting to be spread throughout the district. There's 166 labor hours of grass cut and trimming in the parks in the month of May. And maintenance had 246 hours of labor on field maintenance and 41 hours of water removal through the month. So to kind of go with what Jen said, there was a lot of work that was done to keep the fields ready to go. The other thing is I just want to add that last month we had talked about Howie's field, that it wasn't draining real well. Jerry did get, I think he said 12 yards of the new infield mix spread, and we haven't had rain since then, but we're anxious to see if it's what it needed.
That's at Radiant, or at House?
At House,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay. Public relations?
The biggest thing is, Thunder will take place on Friday, June 24th. We'll begin at 5 o'clock with games, a bar, and food vendors. The band will begin playing at 6 p.m. and the fireworks are at 9:30. And as Jen mentioned, we're still looking for volunteers, so anyone that wants to come out and help, that'd be appreciated. I think we're at 5 food vendors as of today.
We're still kind of strong on our moment coming out. Unfortunately, our track record the last couple of years hasn't been awesome with the rain. So some of them are kind of a little hesitant to come out, but we're sweet talking them and trying to get them out
Who's,
there.
you know who's coming out?
So far, it's Lisa's Diner, Canute's, Taste This Turkey, which they're not in town, but I guess they've been at other ones. Two Sisters and Corn Shack. Corn Shack's there every year. They run like a mobile food truck. So they do like funnel cakes and things. They've been there the last couple of years.
Is there a fee for vendors if they want to participate?
There is, it's $50, but that gets you table and electricity. So that's why we charge, just to get the electricity.
There's a friend that I know that runs one of those icy freeze.
Oh,
Where
okay.
she has a trailer she brings out. It looks
Is it like
an icy freeze cup.
like Simply Slices has the trailer of like the shaved ice? Is it similar?
It's like a slushy sort of thing.
Okay, if you want, I don't know if you're gonna be here for the whole meeting, I can give you the vendor form, or you can give me their information, I'll send it to them.
I can see if I can find her number.
Okay.
I know where she lives, but I don't know if I have her number. It's a friend from daycare, which is about 12 years ago. So,
Okay.
I'm just curious, she does a lot of local little
Yeah,
festivals, including the Crestwood Fest.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I mean, the more vendors we have, the better for the residents, so I can give, I'll get you after the meeting.
How many vendors do we usually have food vendors, or does it vary?
Well, we started this
That's right.
this is our third
That's
year.
the third
This is
year.
our third year. First year we had, I wanna say it was around 10. It rained, but they stayed out there because it only rained like in the beginning and then they were. Second year, it downpoured the whole time.
Yeah.
We had 15 people signed up, but only 3 staved the rain, like braved the rain. So, but it increased and then unfortunately the rain, they're kind of like, oh, I don't want to come. So we're doing what we can.
Okay, finance and budget?
Well, we received the tax agency report. I have submitted that with this packet for your review. It just tells us the amount of property taxes that will be collected in August 2016. Like I said, it's attached review, and then next week we'll be required to approve the prevailing wage ordinance. It has to be done every year in June. It's a state requirement.
Nothing under human resources? Ed, anything under attorney?
Well, the prevailing wage ordinance, which you've got in new business.
Right.
But that's it.
Okay, nothing under old business. Under new business, selection and appointment of commissioner. We'll do the interviewing at this point. I think, Rose?
Hi.
Hi. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Rose Pilney. I've lived in Midlothian for about 17 years. Grew up in Crestwood previous to that, so I've always been south side. I have a son who is 6. I'm married. He is really active in the Park District. When he was 2, no one in our condo, there were no kids, and I wanted to get him active in something. So I looked to the Park District and enrolled him in the 2-year-old preschool. And that went really well, and we just kind of kept going with the programs and did more and more things. So we're pretty active with the Park District. Personally, I'm a social media marketing specialist. I do social media for a couple of different clients, and I also do some project management. So when I'm not working, I'm spending time with my husband and my son, and that's, I guess that's me in a nutshell.
Why are you interested in serving as a commissioner?
Well, as I
Or
said.
are you still?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Like I said, we've been active in the Park District now for going on 5 years. And there are some really good programs. There are some programs that are really good that don't necessarily go due to lack of public involvement or whatever the reasons might be. And I just think that the Park District, the parks, the sports classes, all the things that the Park District offers are very important to the community, especially those with small children, but everybody in general. So I just thought that this would be a good way for me to get involved and give back a little bit as well.
Okay. Anybody else?
You don't have a problem with the monthly meetings?
No.
Twice a month?
No, I don't. I'm aware of the meeting schedule in general, and that's not a problem.
Okay.
For social media marketing specialist, are you self-employed?
I am.
Okay.
I
I
am.
didn't know if you were working for somebody.
Yeah, I've got it. One of my companies that I'm self-employed with, I might be going over to a regular employee
Oh.
position soon. I might take on some more responsibilities, but yes, I'm self-employed.
If appointed, would you be willing to run again in April?
Yes, absolutely. I didn't look at this to be a short-term hobby or something to do to pass a couple of months, but absolutely, I would like to continue with it.
Have you thought about any ideas that you might have?
I would just like to see maybe a little bit broader spectrum of classes, maybe some more adult classes, and maybe change up a little bit of the kids' classes that are currently running. I know I signed my son up for certain things that don't run, and there's always a little bit of disappointment there. So a specific class idea, I think we should maybe take it to the village and see what people want.
It's nice there's somebody that signs up for the classes.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't think so, not at this time. I'm sure if appointed, I'd have a lot of them, but right now I'm good, thank you.
Thank you.
Frank, anything?
Any questions for us?
Think so, not right now, but thank you.
Have you served on any other boards?
I have not, this would be my first.
Do you have any worries about being on the park board?
No, I don't see any concerns with it. You just do what's best for the community. I mean, that's really what I want to do, is what's best for the park district, the village, and just giving them everything that they need. So I think if I had concerns, I wouldn't be here.
Your son going to school where?
Springfield.
There you go.
Mhm.
Okay.
He's in day camp right now.
Anybody else?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Carol?
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. Good. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little background.
Lifelong resident of Midlothian, born and raised here, got married. I've been married for 26 years. We moved out of the village for 3 years right after we got married and returned back to the village. So I actually bought a home about a block away from where I grew up. We have one daughter, she's 22 years old, so she's been raised in Midlothian as well. Went to St. Christopher's, enjoyed the park system. Worked at Griffith's Foods, so I work in a global food manufacturer for the past 30 years. I'm a warehouse manager there. I manage a staff of 24 employees across 3 shifts. Recently graduated St. Xavier University in December with a bachelor's degree in liberal studies, and I'm one course away from having a minor in psychology because it was something that was really interesting to me. Interested in this position, I've looked for an opportunity to get back to the community. It's been here for me. I've enjoyed it all these years as a resident of Midlothian. Haven't had the time with work and school. As a recent graduate now, I see this as an opportunity to be more involved in the community. So I think a strong park and recreation system is one of the pillars of a strong community, as well as a library system and other facilities within the community. So if chosen for the position, I would act with honesty and integrity, realizing that I'm here to serve the members of the community. I'm actually here for them, and just help make the parks a better place, more enjoyable.
Have you served on any other boards?
I have not.
Because you've been busy working full-time at
I've
the
been busy
local school.
full-time with local school.
And you can commit, you have no issue with the meetings
No,
on the second and third Thursdays?
no.
You willing to run for the seat in April?
Yes, I am.
Any?
You have any questions for us?
If whoever's chosen for the Board of Commissioners, what are your expectations of them right out of the gate?
The direction, the board is basically the oversight of what happens on a day-to-day basis, kind of sets the direction as to, where we want to go in the future, what we want to add, what we need to change, and, leave it to the paid staff to, carry it out and follow those guidelines, so.
And do it fiscally, manageably, so we're not overspending.
Yeah, we've been able to do a lot, unfortunately, lately with the Ozaled program for the last couple of years. It doesn't allow the money available for doing some major projects, but ever since tax caps first went in, we pre-planned knowing that we were going to be hampered with tax increases and tax caps. We planned for it. We had money available, got Ozaled grants that allowed us to do all the renovations pretty much that we've done in all the parks here in town.
So do you create like like a 5-year capital plan and say these are the projects that we'd like to do, and then you just review that?
Yeah, there's a long-range marketing plan that Dominic was working on right now. We've come to the end of our current 5-year plan. Now we're gonna take another look out, hold meetings as to, you know, what do we wanna change going forward in the next 5 years. And then we take it year by year to priorities as to what's gonna be the first year, what's gonna be the second year. And it's flexible because if something doesn't get done and we wanna push it out or move something up that's more important, we do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I don't have any further questions. Thank you. Okay, prevailing wage ordinance, which is in front of us, that's for next week's school board meeting.
You're gonna pass it today, right?
We need to pass it today.
We don't have to, you can put it off till the regular meeting. Has to be done this month.
Yeah.
And I didn't see how you decided it on the agenda. And if you placed it on the agenda to act on, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't want to act on it tonight. If on the other hand, you want to put it over to the general meeting, that's fine.
Okay, Mike, before you move on to that point of order, is it possible for anyone who attended to ask questions of the two candidates also, that might help you make some decisions?
I don't have any problem with the candidates, don't have a problem with it.
As a resident, my question to both candidates would be, what do you personally see as the biggest goal of the Park District in the next 4.5 years, which should be your term plus the term you serve right now? What do you think is the biggest need of the community and what should be in focus?
I would think, you know, as Rose had mentioned, you know, some programs for older adults. I think you need to make sure you have programs that service all ages in the community, from, you know, toddlers all the way up to even seniors. You know, personally, I don't take advantage of the park. I mean, we do have sharing with Oak Forest with the fitness centers, and I think that's great, but I would really like to see a fitness center in Midlothian. It's just, you know, something I would personally enjoy, and I think maybe some other people would personally enjoy, but I just think if there was more things, there always seems to be a problem with enrollment, you know, and classes get canceled because of low enrollment.
Why do you think that is?
Maybe just choices of classes, maybe timing. You know, as an adult, I would have to do things in the evening, and I don't know if there's a wide enough selection of evening classes or programs that would interest a wider variety of people.
What about you?
I'm really kind of along the same lines like I had mentioned during my interview. I think that one of the important things for a park district in general is to get the community involved, whether it's supporting the parks and enjoying the parks or coming in and doing different activities. I also don't know why there's some apathy when it comes to the classes and low enrollment. I think it'd be a really good idea to have a formal questionnaire poll of the community to see what they want.
My understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding that the last time that was done was prior to the last long-range plan, and the surveys were collected, and the number one asset that the residents saw as a benefit to them was the public pool. In fact, the long-range plan outlined a whole list of programming that could take place in conjunction with the offerings of the pool, and addressing what residents' needs were. The guidelines within that long-range plan were not followed because of the decision to close the pool because of the expenses required to repair the things that were needed. My findings from just talking with so many residents before the petition was presented to look for a park district director a year and a half ago were that every resident that I talked to told me their issues were that they felt they weren't being heard by this entity in town. that this is a PR and marketing problem to the max. That they had tried over the years to express their desire about programs and been told they couldn't be accommodated. There wasn't enough enrollment. The prices couldn't be brought down. If they were dissatisfied, they were told that's too bad. They didn't feel that there were enough offerings that fit their needs. And that every time a resident has spoken up and been treated that way, they are very turned off by the idea of wanting to continue to come, especially if they didn't feel the programming was worth the money that they paid into it. I had suggested a year and a half ago that every program have the opportunity, if it's just a form online, that residents can fill out and evaluate a program. 5 easy questions. Did you think it was worth your money? What would you change? What was done really well? Just some basic collect information. Can only help you do your job better. And I was told it wasn't going to happen, that wasn't an issue. I have come to board meetings and asked about it before. So when I look at the direction of leadership for our community, which is, this is what this is, my feeling is that we need somebody that has that insight into pushing the employees of the park district that we supervise, from the director all the way down to the maintenance person, to be receptive to people when they present problems. Addressing work orders is a great way to do that, but there's other levels at which people are being turned off and turned away, and really feeling like this park district does not want to hear what we have to say. We brought program books forward and we were laughed at for it. There's an average from families that I've talked to, that I know, that have at least 2 kids, spending at least $500–600 a year minimum on recreation, and none of it goes to our park district. 0. I ask them, how many things are you involved in here? And they'll tell me, not a one. I take my kid here for this football, and here for this soccer, and here for gymnastics, and we have a pool membership there, and we do this and we do that. My kids do the sports camps, the Bremen sports camps, but they won't do anything else in the park district. We've had a bad experience over and over again. And if either of you are taking this board position, as well as the current board, you've got to do a better job at listening to your community and addressing that with your employees and getting them to figure out a way to change the dynamic between the park district and the community. And I hope that that's going to happen. And to address the concerns about the director earlier, I do not know Dominic. I don't know whether the allegations against him are false or not false. But everybody deserves the benefit of the doubt until they're proven that they're not. And we asked for change and we got change. It's not up to any of us to sit here and say that the change wasn't good enough. You decided, and we have to respect that. I do think that the board should have been more involved in making that decision, not the employees. I think that we elected you to do that. And that should have been your #1 priority to us, to serve us. So I do think that it's great that you have come forward to be on the board. In case you don't know, I am on the library board for the same reasons. I think that providing for our community and trying to promote things that are beneficial, that become a pillar of supporting a great community, starts with our park district, our libraries, our schools, and the values of how we keep our community alive and intertwined and supportive of each other and protecting our residents. So I do hope that whoever you decide out of these candidates, you go forward with those things in mind. Because a lot of people were very, very upset that once again, when their voices were brought here in force, we were laughed at and turned away and scoffed on the front page of the newspaper. It was a very inappropriate way to approach your community, instead of saying, we understand you have concerns. So, thank you very much for running, both of you. All I was saying.
Okay, moving along. Prevailing wage ordinance, 243. We'll put on for the board meeting for next week. Yeah. Treasurer's report, I think, is,
I just received it tonight. Just got it.
yeah, we will. For review, we'll take a look at that for next week also. The expense by vendor,
You have the current list, the updated one will be available early next week along with the payroll report as well.
with the additions to, yeah, okay. One thing, under that category that I want to bring up and put out there, there's an outstanding water bill for the concession stand at Memorial that no longer exists, from girls softball. It's a little over $2,000, girls softball never paid. Under the current village ordinance, either the property owner or the tenant is jointly responsible for it. So I will send a copy of that over from the village during the week. My feeling it's probably the village's responsibility, or the park's responsibility at this point to cover the cost of that, because it was on our property, and even though I think girls softball is not very viable anymore. Is that true?
You know, I can't speak to their finances, I know the numbers are down. I mean, we do pay them.
Are they really the same organization that they were?
Absolutely not. When the old concession stand was there, no, they're completely different. Whole new board, I mean, no, they're not the same at all. I mean, they're still Midlothian girls softball, but they're definitely not the same board.
How old, when is this going
It has to be at least
4 years.
4 years old,
Yeah.
because we've been open at Memorial for 3,
from? Okay.
and we did demolition the year before, so it has to be at least 4 years old.
Yeah.
And did we not know about it before, or is it something?
No, we did not know about it, and this was,
What used to
what the
happen.
village is doing right now is going after all of the old outstanding charges for water that have been unpaid. And they were dealing directly with
What used to happen.
Midlothian girls softball.
Yeah, what used to happen is all the utility bills would go directly to MGF, with Midlothian girls softball.
Okay.
So they would be responsible for it because they're the only ones that used it at the time. We assumed, of course, that they were paying the bill because it wasn't even in our name.
Right.
It was going to
And you
Midlothian
were
girls
not even
softball.
seeing it? Yeah.
Correct. Same with the electric, I believe, was the same way.
Okay.
So we didn't even know they had an outstanding bill, to be honest with you. I mean, you can ask girls softball for it. Quite honestly, I don't think they have the funds to pay for it. Maybe you can make a deal with them that they can split it. I don't know what their budget looks like as of right now, but I do know that their numbers are down. So, all we can do is ask, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, we can devise a letter and send it over to them saying, hey, if you can get us a copy of the bill, we can try to,
I'll send a copy over.
see what we can do with it.
Okay, also, on here is authorization for Dominic, as the Park District 457 plan administrator.
Yeah, that plan is the employees, there are a handful of employees that contribute extra dollars into a separate pension that's available to municipal employees. Evan was the plan administrator on it, and they need someone they need me to be authorized as a new one, the board needs to do that. So I attached the letter that they need signed. You have that for approval next week.
Okay. Okay, under bid awards and contracts, there's a couple of items, the purchase of time clock software for Time Clock Plus, which is $4,070. And the challenge course camera, actually it's a couple of cameras, one to go over the challenge course and the other is to replace the second camera that we've already got out there to make them compatible, for $4,339.52. That'll be on the agenda for next week.
We had talked about that already, but,
Right.
Yes.
Talk about building challenge course.
I think we were just waiting for a quote.
Right.
Yeah, I think we were just waiting for a quote for it, but yeah, we did discuss that.
They're supposed to start next week on the challenge course.
Starting next week,
Supposed to.
Weather pending.
weather permitting. Okay. With no further business, look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
We are adjourned.